Hey guys, I'm Angel Vivaldi here with my all-new signature Charvel Nova. I feel like I've been playing guitar ever since I came out of the chute, which would have made for a very messy C-section, you know, coming out of there with a guitar. But it's been 17 years of crafting songs and singing melodies with a guitar as my voice. I grew up with a lot of obstacles, you know, standing in my way of playing guitar, whether it was, you know, being very poor or having little to no support. So things like lessons and, you know, adequate gear were way out of the question. You know, so I spent a lot of time by myself just kind of exploring the guitar with very meager equipment, just using my ear as a guide. Now, while finances were extremely limited, my ambition was absolutely endless. I remember playing with tons of different bands. Some were in drop B, some were in drop C, and different tunings. And you know, I couldn't afford a guitar to play with each of these bands. So I figured if I had a 7-string, I can kind of cover all my bases. And sure enough, it did. Now it's just become a huge part of how I riff and how I write. So I was initially put in touch with someone over at Charvel, and to be honest, didn't expect to fall in love as much as I did. I was initially sent a 6-string DK24, and you know, the fact that I'm a 7-string player that fell in love with the 6-string really does say a lot. I just kind of fell in love with the philosophy behind what Charvel does, you know, kind of breaking rules on traditional guitars, you know, throwing Floyds on a Strat, and doing it for 40 years now, which is absolutely amazing. And I found that this philosophy really falls in line with my own philosophy of fusing modern era guitar building with the blueprints of classic tradition. The name Nova really represents so much of what I feel like this guitar stands for. Today's guitar building market is extremely competitive, which has just driven innovation and creativity so far. I want to design a guitar where the only limitation comes from the player. So being that my fans got me to this point, I really wanted to get them involved and have them all vote on the color that would actually go into production. So you guys all voted on the Sage Metallic Mint Green, which I feel against the gold is super classy and extremely refined. Now, in keeping with the tradition of breaking traditions, this is the only Charvel to have a tilt-back headstock. Now, the reason for that is because since it's a non-locking system, we needed to maintain string tension so that they stay in the nut slots. It has 7 locking tuners, which are connected to a 3-piece maple neck with graphite reinforcement. It has a maple fretboard, which features the cascading dot inlays, which is again a more modern take on a traditional inlay pattern. It features 24 jumbo frets, all of which you have access to. So the back of the heel was not only sculpted out, but it was also recessed as much into the body as possible, just to allow for even more fret access. This guitar features a basswood body with direct mounted DiMarzio Air Norton pickups. So one of the main things we spent a lot of time figuring out was the bridge. This is a custom Godot 510-7 bridge. We've tried everything. I've tried Floyds, I've tried hip shot contour bridges. This by far not only sounded the best, but had the most stability. What really sets this bridge apart is the bar. Now the bar has threads that tunnel into the bar itself, so wherever you put the bar is where it's going to stay. However, if you want to move the bar, it doesn't fight against you either. Because of the threads, you now have a lot more control over how high or far away you want the bar to sit from the body of the guitar. There's no tools, no Allen wrenches to have to lock it into place, no plumber's tape to wrap around the bar in order to keep it snug inside the cavity. It's the perfect balance between stability and flexibility. When I was younger, I remember constantly saying to other people, without guitar, I didn't know who I was. And it wasn't until I became older that I realized that, you know, identifying yourself by one thing is really cheapening the privilege of just being alive. I feel that, you know, we're so much more than just one thing, and the more you work on yourself as a person, the more I feel that enriches your art, as long as you play very sincerely and from the heart.